My name is Anila Denaj, and I'm the Minister of Finance and Economy in Albania. I think for every country, this has been a question that every day has been calculated on a technical level and then discussed in a broader sense, because development in fighting on different directions this pandemic outbreak has been the focus of many technical groups. The same is true for Albania. When we started getting the first confirmed cases with COVID-19, which by today are almost about 900 infected persons, we have seen that the vicinity with the other countries in the region, in particular Italy, where we have also quite a lot of relation, both in terms of flow of people and goods, we felt like it would have a direct impact to us. So a lockdown was the strategy that was adapted, also based on the suggestions of the technical group established from the Ministry of Health. During this period of time, economy had been hit quite considerably. And in particular, unemployment was the result of this hit. So the lockdown definitely created a burden for many businesses, in particular creating different reactions. Some businesses had to adapt into the new situation, not only for the time of the lockdown, but in particular for the insecurities of the future. What will happen? How we will continue? Will this workforce be with a new format that would probably be available in the near future? How much the relation towards Italy will affect us, because 60% of our flow of activity is depending on Italy. And we have to say that independent of how soon we open up, if our neighboring countries are not opening up at the same speed, our economy will get affected. The government reacted consecutively with two packages, aiming at addressing direct support, cashless support through banking sector instruments towards almost every employed or self-employed for 85% of businesses. Why 85% of businesses? Because most of our business in the Albanian economy are small businesses. Then we saw in the structure of businesses that independent, if they were locked because of our internal orders or opened with a reduced number of activities, different measures were adapted for the respective categories. However, they were all affected. So we addressed all the employees or self-employed people for this 85% of business in terms of number with two direct packages, having first a minimum salary addressed in the first package, and the second one payment that is about $400 per each employee that was part of these businesses that I mentioned earlier. Also, we addressed unemployment as of mid of April, when the second package came into light. And in addition, we doubled the social benefits for two vulnerable categories: unemployed citizens, that before the outbreak of the COVID-19 was about 2,700 people, and it's going up, and it might reach roughly about 8,000 towards the end of the year. But also the financial assistance into the social assistance schemes, we doubled that size of amount, in parallel adding quite a substantial amount into the emergency fund in supporting people in needs with different packages as a first need for medical treatments and food, ensuring food supplies for the ones in most needs. All this came into two packages for direct, as I mentioned, direct support for people into these three categories: employees or self-employed, social schemes, and emergency needs for food and medicine. We had an earthquake at end of November. It was devastating. We lost not only 51 people, but we lost a lot of shelters for almost 12,000 people in many areas and in the core of the economical zone. And let's say 4 months after, we were hit from this global pandemic that also hit the heart of the economy and people. Having said that, you could imagine that government institutions had been in alert for reactions. Nonetheless, we see that in order to provide a sustainable support, the willingness is important, and we have worked this 6 months, but we should create also room for cases of emergencies, and we have to create not necessarily formulas, but we have to create plans. What if something happens? We would leave the future with what if, be it on the case of COVID-19 or another situation, and we should create a contingency plan.